Hi, I'm Paola Ranova, and today I'm going to talk about why the first constellation is unforgettable. And constellations are a powerful healing modality. I talk about this a lot, and the reason why I'm creating this video is that I was asked a question in our channel, in the Portuguese speaking channel. We have two YouTube channels, one in English and one in Portuguese. If you didn't know, I am from Brazil, so I speak in my native language and English is my second language. And what the question is from Michelle, and she said it was about the video that I posted about the Cardinal Method, which is a system I've developed hand in hand with family constellations. So I talk about the connection between the Cardinal Method and constellations. So she watched that video and she asked this question. I'm curious to know, what were you constellating about? What was your issue? How was the first session? And what do you mean your mom had the book? So I mentioned in this video that I'm linking here in the descriptions that my mom had a book about family constellations, but that's a whole other story. It will take a longer time to explain it, so I'll create another video about that soon, explaining that story because it's also very interesting. But today I want to talk about my first constellation session and why it's so life-changing. So if you're not familiar with family constellations, we have a lot of videos about this in this channel, and I'm linking two of them here that are very important so that you get the context of this video. So the first one is the relationship between the Cardinal Method, the system I've developed to create soul healing, consciousness expansion, and the joy of life for everyone who's willing, and the connection between the Cardinal Method and constellations, because constellations are a pillar of the Cardinal Method. And the other video is about the life shift that I created. I really did create a 180 shift when I decided to become a constellations facilitator. I used to be a university professor and academic, and constellations really changed my life, and it all started with the first session. So what was I constellating about, right? Why did I decide to have a constellation? Because I had just become a university professor, which was my dream since I was 17 or 18 years old. So for years, I was pursuing that dream. I was 31 years old. I had just defended my PhD thesis and had gotten a permanent position at the University of Brasilia, which was the top of the food chain, right? And I felt a void in my soul. So I talk about this in the longer video that I'm linking here. It's a video in our course in human nature. We do put some videos in our YouTube channel for the general public so that you know how we can dive deeper into the Cardinal Method. So this is a course, a private course that I'm bringing one of the videos here for you. A few of them are in our YouTube channel. So you'll understand on a deeper level the whole story behind it. But the thing is, I felt a void in my soul. I was very fulfilled professionally, but my romantic life was horrendous. I was very unhappy. I had failed big time with my 2 marriages, and I was miserable. Also financially, I was completely chaotic and disorganized, and something was lacking in my personal fulfillment. So that's the reason why I decided to have a constellation. It was an individual constellation, and then I was so blown away that my facilitator, who was also an instructor, was holding a group session, a group constellation session that very weekend. So I went to the group session, and she was going to start her facilitator's course, right? She was going to train people to be constellation professionals. And I said, I'm diving in. So the first constellation for me was a quick start to really start changing my life. I was going in the direction that was not my sacred path. So I aligned with what was my truth. And I was diligently working on myself for a whole year. In the constellations training, I was there all the time. And this is one of the reasons why we offer constellations every weekend. I want every person in the planet to have the opportunity to be in constellation fields, not just having your own constellation, but being in other people's constellations is really healing for the soul. We purify ourselves and we cleanse ourselves, and we help our families, and we purify our DNA, right? So it's very, very powerful. So I was immersed in constellations, in group constellations frequently every week for a whole year, and my life started to change. The first thing that changed was my relationship with money and my finances. One constellation, my first constellation, we worked on an ancestral issue, and immediately my finances started to become way healthier. I started to align and have a healthier relationship with money. Regarding romance, after a year doing the work, becoming, getting the training to be a professional, I met my husband in a constellation. And we've been together ever since. And that's when I knew that I had changed a pattern from having romantic relationships with the wrong people for me. I knew that I could have a relationship with a person that had everything to do with me. So when we're choosing anything in our lives, when our life choices are coming from the wounded inner child or from the controlling ego and their ancestral issues confusing us, we don't make the best choices. When we align with the higher self and we cleanse the ancestral energies that are creating misalignment, and we change ourselves, there's no way we can create change in our lives if we don't transform ourselves. You cannot transform your life if you don't transform yourself. So knowing myself and transforming myself led to the transformation of my outer life. And I met my husband in a constellation. So my romantic life started to become more structured and better and more expanded and more peaceful and more joyful. So finances became way better. My romantic life way better, and my personal fulfillment too, because I started taking energy healing courses. I was taking the constellation training, then I was taking Reiki, not just having Reiki sessions, but I took the course to become a Reiki practitioner. I took magnified healing. And after a year in a relationship with my husband now, he got a job offer in Florida and our family moved to another country. And in the US, I completely embraced energy healing. I created a thriving business and I started living my life purpose. I was more fulfilled. The void in my soul was gone, all because the missing piece of the puzzle, which was ancestral healing, came with my first constellation session. So it was extremely powerful. And yes, you can go from hell to heaven if you commit to the work and take responsibility. If I could do it, any human being can do it as long as you take responsibility and commit yourself. There are opportunities for you to have constellations. We hold group constellations every Saturday, every weekend, right? Now we have Cardinal Method constellation facilitators taking the course. I'm training people to become constellation facilitators. All that I have mentioned here, my first constellation was in 2010, so that was 12 years ago. And I cannot even describe how much my outer life has shifted for the better in my inner world as well. So to answer Michelle's question, that was what I wanted to have a constellation about. It was 3 things in a session, and constellations really created a lot of shifts. So you can watch the videos that give more details about my connection with constellations and my trajectory as a professional and becoming a constellation facilitator, right? Changing careers and choosing the truth of my soul, not bowing down to what society believes is right or what brings status, because my family really valued being an intellectual, but I was pleasing them. I was not pleasing my soul or my higher self. So it wasn't coming from a place of happiness at all, right? So a lot of shifts have happened. I am living proof that you can change your life and really create transformation as long as you decide to do the work and you have the right tools and the right guides and the right systems. So let me know if you've ever had a constellation. How was your first constellation if you've had a constellation before? How many shifts can you count after a constellation? And if you have not yet had a constellation, we offer them at Ranova. You can go to our website. You can sign up for our newsletter because we always bring new content for you every week. And you can just browse in our website and see what we have to offer about constellations too. So thank you, Michelle, for your question. I will create another video talking about my mom's book and the shelf, and you guys can watch the videos to get more in-depth knowledge and ask any questions you want. I'll be so happy to answer. Thank you so much for your presence here, and I will see you soon.